What's going on, guys? So today we're doing a little top-down review of sorts, and it's a little different because I'm actually not wearing a watch, although there is evidence of watch wearing present. I'm just not wearing one presently. So what are we talking about today? Well, I'm going to be answering a question I've been getting from some viewers who I think might be newer subscribers of mine, and they might be newer to the hobby. And the question is, can you wear a sporty watch with more formal attire? Well, let's talk about that today. It is 2:46 p.m. Let's get down to business. So it's true that these days you will often see me wearing, a simple button-down Oxford shirt and maybe even a tie. So does that mean that I'm very often wearing a dress watch on my wrist? Well, let's take a look at the two watches I've been wearing most lately. One watch I've been wearing a whole heck of a lot lately is this Hamilton Sacon. Love this piece, gorgeous, gorgeous strap. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off the wrist and do a little mini overview of this piece for those of you who aren't familiar with it. So at first glance, this may just seem like, an old school rectangular vintage watch, and I suppose that is an accurate description of this piece, but it's actually designed with a very specific purpose in mind. This is a very early physician's watch. Now, pulsometers are things that eventually were quite common in the medical community, but before those watches were super common, it was easier for the watchmaker to just magnify the sub-second dial. So in old school vintage watches, small seconds were very, very common. But for doctors that were measuring pulsations, it was difficult to strain your eyes and count alongside a very small sub-second dial, so they decided to essentially give it its own segment on the watch, and they essentially cut it by 50%, magnified the small seconds, and the doctor could easily tell time with the top dial and easily count alongside the larger small second dial. So very, very cool, and again, very vintage, and I suppose right at home in a formal scenario, or I should say formal setting, because nowadays this would be considered a very dressy, understated piece, and it definitely slides under the cuff very, very easily. Okay, so while that last watch was very, I guess, by today's standards, dressy, the next watch that I've been wearing a whole heck of a lot is my Doca Sub2 Seagraph 2. This is like the antithesis of a dress watch. It is pretty much the definition of a sporty diver. I don't think anyone could argue that this is very much a sports watch. We're going to have the measurements for both watches on screen, obviously, but this is, above 40 millimeters, kind of breaks all the rules, right? When it comes to a watch with formal attire. Has a big old timing bezel, has a crown sticking out, and then the pushers for the chronograph complication. It's not even on a leather strap. Oh, but guess what? I love this thing, and I wear it all the time, even when I wear a tie. Blasphemy. So, okay, side by side, it's actually pretty funny to see these two watches because one is rectangular and quite thin and understated, and the other one is big and blue and sporty, and I think this is actually a really cool two-watch collection. You have one that's very sophisticated and dressy and small, and you have one that's a little bit oversized, but I wouldn't say gargantuan, and very functional and sporty in its own right, but still sophisticated and refined, and doesn't seem like it would stick out like a sore thumb, even if you were rocking it, with a cuff and a necktie. I think both of these watches are awesome and very fun to wear day to day. So while one of the options is clearly more of a dress watch, I really don't see an issue wearing the sports watch with more formal attire. And here's the thing, okay? Doesn't matter which of these you choose, you're not going to please everyone. Because the truth is, when it comes to any hobby, but specifically like fashion and accessorizing and things like that, there's all these kind of arbitrary rules. So specifically with wristwatches, you know, some people say you can't put leather on a dive watch. Some people I've even heard say, oh, you can't put a brown strap on a black dial watch. Obviously, people say you shouldn't wear a dive watch with formal attire, excuse me. But it was good enough for James Bond, and he doesn't even really exist in real life. So I mean, I'm a real person. So why can't I do it? So the truth is, guys, you should be able to wear whichever watch you want, whenever you want, and however you want, because people still come into my comment section today complaining about me wearing a watch on the wrong wrist. So it's like, people will still get upset, even if you're wearing the perfect dress watch with the perfect Oxford shirt and the strap matches perfectly and everything is fine. People will still get upset if you're not wearing it, you know, okay, so you have it on the correct wrist, but you're wearing it above your wrist bone, so you should really wear it below your wrist bone. Or oh, you're wearing it on the inside of your wrist. No, that's not the correct orientation. People have all these stupid arbitrary rules, and I don't follow any of them all the time. So do whatever you want. This is your hobby. This is your collection. It's your clothes. So, you know, you should be wearing whatever you want, and I don't really care. So just have fun with it, guys, and don't listen to anyone. You shouldn't even be listening to me. You know what? Screw this. Episode over. I will catch you on the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.